Hi everybody and welcome back to the Going For It Sim Studio. I'm Jeremy Tufts and I challenged myself to learn golf only on my About Golf simulator and then attempt to break 80 for my very first ever round of golf outside. And then I created this challenge because I wanted to document it and share my experience to help other people understand that technology has made the game of golf more accessible than ever before, knocking down the crazy barrier of entry and taking that steep learning curve and mellowing it out a little bit. Two common issues keeping people away from the game of golf. But along the way, I've also fallen in love with golf simulators and shared my experience with an at-home simulator and have helped hundreds of people personally who've reached out to me build their dream simulator, and I love working with every single person. I've done a lot of videos that talk about where to put your funds, how can you get a simulator for your budget from on the very low end all the way up to luxury built-in simulators like the About Golf simulator that you see here. And one thing that I talk to a lot of people about that honestly it gets forgotten about. Everybody loves to talk about the computer that's going to run the simulator software they want. They want to talk about the launch monitor, the screen, the hitting mat, all the cool stuff. But one thing that gets forgotten a lot, and it's honestly, I guess you couldn't say it's the heartbeat of it, but depending on what your goal is with your simulator, we can't forget about the projector. Now, the hardest part about the projector is that it's scary. There's a lot of terminology that we don't understand. There's a lot of projectors, and some of them are just projectors. Like, are they going in an office? Are they for home theater? Is there such thing as a golf simulator specific projector? And what does that even mean? Today we're going to simplify all that. And after you watch this video, you are going to confidently be able to go on the lookout and find the projector that's best for your golf simulator setup. Let's talk about it. So as you're planning out your golf simulator, there's a lot of variables that go into that package that honestly go back to what we talked about before, and it causes that stall that makes it so that you never actually get your simulator built. And one of those aspects that I have talked to a lot of people about, it always ends up like on the end of the whole plan, is your projector. And honestly, the projector plays a role in your simulator that's quite important, and it really kind of depends on what you're after. So if you are after that true 4K immersive experience, you're going to want to make sure that you not only get a projector that can fill your screen the way you want it to do, but it needs to be 4K resolution. I know that sounds silly, but I've seen it happen. I've seen the guy who has spent $7,000 on software and a computer only to have a projector show up that's 1080p. It's gonna cut you short on all that investment that you just did. And then for the other person, you may only need a projector simply just to put a picture on a screen because all you're after is just a little bit of visual that's gonna tie into the data that you're using to improve your game. And every single simulator that is built is different. Not one simulator that I've helped build has been even remotely the same. There's always something in the room, the space, that causes a restriction that's going to change the projector that you're going to need to give you the ideal setup so that you don't risk hitting it or having a picture or ending up with a projector that does this where you cast a shadow as you're trying to play the game. So how can we simplify the process so that finding this projector isn't as scary as it may seem? Well, BenQ actually makes golf-specific projectors to make that decision process a lot easier, and there's two things on their website that help that even more. The number one is they have a buyer's guide. You simply go in, answer a bunch of questions, and they're gonna say, hey, this is the best one for the space that you have. And then after that projector shows up, or even before you order it and you want to double check, you can use their Sim Builder tool. You put in every dimension you have for your entire sim space, including the height of you. And it will show you exactly where that projector needs to be mounted and at what angle. So why is that important? Well, just like I just said, if you don't have it in the right spot, this happens. And that's what we don't want to have happen. And a lot of people get scared about the installation of that projector. So what that tool does is it solves both problems. Not only will it make sure that the projector is the one that you want, but it's going to make sure that you know exactly where it goes. So now, how do we look at a projector ourselves? If you're not speaking to somebody like Shop Indoor Golf or Carl's place who's making the decision for you, how do you know what you're looking at? There's a lot of technical terms that quickly make your head spin and you just kind of go, I give up, I'm gonna buy something based on a price, right? Which is what we don't wanna do. Definitely make sure that you have the budget for the projector you need, which is why I talk about planning, right? We've talked about taking a step back, looking at the grand plan and making sure that our budget goes where we want based on what type of simulator we want to build. So let's talk about terminology and let's take all those crazy terms and make them incredibly simple. The first one we're going to talk about is your light source. That's simply what type of light is coming out here. Is it a bulb making the light? Is it an LCD or LED, not LCD? Or is it gonna be laser? So the biggest difference you're gonna get in that is it's gonna be how quickly it turns on. Laser's immediate. A bulb's gonna have to be warmed up a little bit. And it's also gonna be how long of life you're gonna get after it. With laser, it's gonna be much more like a lithium battery, where it's gonna stay the same for a long time and then it'll die. When a bulb is like your old school batteries, where they slowly kind of go out and the drill doesn't really have the power that it used to, right? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And then we're gonna have the resolution. Just like my example earlier, if you're going for a 4K, make sure you get a 4K projector. If you just need to get something on the screen, 1080 is gonna do what you want it to do. Now, please don't get caught up in this. Just because you don't have the power or the software to get your true 4K, your experience on your golf simulator is not gonna be any different. It honestly isn't anything more than what you see on a TV. You wanna get the best TV you can possibly afford, but you go to the store and there's these TVs there that have these really cool pictures. But once you watch it for 5 or 10 minutes, whatever one you got, your eyes, your brain settle in and you don't even really notice. You know, what I did is I future-proofed. I got a 4K projector. About Golf doesn't even run on 4K yet. So, you know, did I need to do that? No. But my choice was to spend a little bit extra so I didn't have to worry about it in the future. The next thing is the lumens. Lumens simply means brightness. If you have a lot of ambient light in your space, windows you can't cover, doors, whatever that may be, you want to get a projector that has a lot of lumens. That's going to make it so that the projector can project an image enough on the screen that it doesn't get washed out. Other ways you can help it if you do have a very brightly lit area is the simulator screens are now coming out, companies are now coming out with gray screens that kind of help fight that ambient light situation. The throw ratio is the next one we want to talk about. This is when we really talk about space, okay? You're gonna need a short or ultra short throw ratio projector if you have limited space or ceiling height. All that means is that your projector can be closer to the screen and still fill the space. That's it. If you don't have the space like I do, where you can put a projector far enough away where you still get a projected image that fills the space and it's high enough that I can move off my hitting strip and not cast a shadow, you're gonna wanna make sure that that short throw is what you're gonna get out of it. Sounds technical, but it's pretty easy. The next thing you see is a lot of stuff around lens shift. So lens shift goes right back to having that golf-specific scenario where not every installation is gonna be the same. You may have something in the way. You may have a small enough space that your driver is gonna hit that projector. That is something we don't want and can be a very costly mistake. Lens shift allows you to move the projector off center and still be able to get that picture right in the middle so that you have a nice blur-free and not warped image on your screen. You can go more technical and you have stuff like keystone adjustments. That is basically kind of shifting it this way. You have corner fit. There's all kinds of micro adjustments that you'll see, usually in spendier projectors, but you're always going to be able to find the perfect fit for what your space is. Other features that you might see, especially from a company like BenQ, are golf-specific features in that projector. They make projectors that are sealed so that they can be inside of a dirty, uninsulated garage. Because hey, guess what? A lot of simulators are built in a garage space. Traditional projectors will get mucked up with dust and choked and eventually will just burn out. The other thing is you've got a nice button called quick focus. I know that sounds silly, but when my projector gets knocked out of focus, it's high enough on my ceiling, I have to get a bench out or a ladder just to adjust the focus. How nice is it that you can just hit a button and boom, you have a perfect image? Because honestly, when I get up there and I'm moving that dial, I'm like, oh, that's there. Oh, no, it's not. You kind of find a middle, and honestly, half the time it's probably not even in focus, and my bad eyes probably just see it as maybe in focus, kind of. You also have an image fit. So that's like, it's almost an automatic. So it's gonna project, it's gonna be over your screen. A lot of the BenQ stuff have an auto adjust where it's just gonna fit the screen and you're done. Setting up your projector is probably the scariest thing. Those features make it very easy. So you simply install it, hit a few buttons. The aspect ratio can even be auto where it sees it and runs it. Another important feature if you have a Garmin R10 or a SkyTrack is BenQ has the ability to skip the computer and project the image straight from your projector via a Wi-Fi dongle. Really cool features, golf specific. Go onto BenQ's website if you are planning a golf simulator or you want to upgrade your current projector, or even if you want to make sure that your projector is in the right spot. You pick the model, you put your space in, and it shows you. If you're choosing a projector, run through that buyer's guide. It'll make sure that you have what you need. I believe you can even contact them directly, which is pretty cool. Until then, please like, follow, and subscribe. I'm going to continue to share my experience not only learning the game of golf on an indoor simulator before I go outside to play my first round of golf ever outside, hopefully break 80, but my experience with golf simulators and everything that comes with the building of them. See you next time.